We are KCPS.
Welcome to Lincoln College Prep. We are very excited to be hosting our town hall meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Mark Bedell. He's here to speak with you, hear from students, hear what you have to say, and we will go ahead and get started.
All right, thank you. I don't need that.
Okay.
That's for them. The technology is pretty awesome. So listen, I started in this school district 2.5 years ago, and one of the things that I brought to this school system was a level of transparency and honesty. I shared with everybody when I started this job that everything that I will do will be on behalf of children, to advocate for you all, to be willing to be a martyr, to go down for students. And I think that we've been able to deliver on that. I think you see a lot of the changes that we've made in this school district is better, but we have a lot of work to do. You also heard, I hope many of you heard around our press conference we had last Friday, our district's got some of the highest test scores that we've ever had, and we think that we are probably 1 year away after people take the assessments here in April and May from this district being able to get its full accreditation back. And from everything that I hear, the district hasn't had full accreditation in a long time. And I think that that's something that we have to commend all of you on, because it's your work ethic that's now resulting in the school district being in a position to where we're a major player in this city. So I want to thank you all for that. The purpose of doing these town hall meetings is that it allows for me to hear from you all. You're in the trenches. I want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And I don't want everything to always just be ugly, because there are things that are working, that are going well, but we also need to know how can we improve, how we provide services and supports to the schools in order for you all to be able to grow on 3 fronts: socially, emotionally, and academically. And we know that all 3 of those have to work hand in hand in order to prepare you to interface with the world when you graduate from this school system as seniors. And so that's what today is about. And we have a lot of staff members here today. We have a lot of our chief executive members in here, assistant superintendents. I know that there's always some questions that come up, and I'll just wait. But I have the appropriate people in here that if I don't have an answer, I may say, hey, can you give the students an answer to this question? I don't know everything, and that's just the truth. I'm a regular person just like everybody else in here. And so if I don't have an answer, we'll go out and find one. But the other piece is, there may be things that we can act on now, and there may be things that realistically, it may not happen until after your time is gone, right? And that's just the reality. There are a lot of seniors who are graduating now, and we put up all of these football fields and things like that. They won't have opportunity to take full advantage of it. But the students who are now in middle school, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, you get the benefit off of these things that those students advocated for. So we want to be able to thank those that are ahead of us, but then embrace what they've done and build on it by doing your part as students to lift this school district up and to make it something that you're proud of. So we're ready. We're ready to open up the floor for some questions. In the back. Hold on. I don't know. I almost want to say toss it, but I don't want to hit anybody in the head. That'd be a bad look.
That's the microphone.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Bedell. Thank you for coming to Lincoln. So, due to the lack of funding that we are currently experiencing in Debate Club, our coach has to pay our entry fees out of his own pocket. What plans do you have to offer further support, such as funding, to school clubs, specifically debate?
Yeah, I think that's something that I always will put back on the building principal, because building principals have operating budgets, and I was a high school principal. We had to make decisions on what things that we really wanted to prioritize and figure out how could we fund it. I think the district also tends to step up every now and again. Like if you're in debate and all of a sudden you all are now competing at a level where you're about to compete at state or nationals, that's where I tend to come in to help out. But at the school level, I think it's something that we have to look at. How can we fundraise, or how do we look at some of our operational funds and move a little bit of money over And then I think too with the principal, the job of the principal then is to come to the assistant superintendent and say, hey, this is very important. Is there any way we can find some additional funds to support this? And so, you know, those are things I put back on building principals. If you all get in there and you start advancing, like the robotics team, if they advance to nationals, I then can come in and find some money to help support that. That's my response to that question.
Thank you.
Right here, so we just pass the ball?
Hello.
All right.
Hello, Dr. Bedell. My name is Taylor Drummer. Thank you for taking the time to visit us. And I'd like to say congratulations on the 82.9 annual performance score.
That's on you all, not me. That's you all. Congratulations to all of you. Because it is a good feeling. It's a good feeling to know that you can do far more than what people ever thought you could do. And that's the mentality I want in here. I don't want people approaching you all through a deficit lens. And that's what I came in here, and that was the way people thought about the students in this school system. And it's something that I just simply will not accept. So you all have proved a lot of people wrong that didn't think that this district could do what it's done.
I would like to start off by saying most of our attention goes to math testing, science test scores, attendance, and getting to class on time, but I would like to briefly speak on some issues and sometimes things that doesn't get any attention at all. For example, the social emotional health of students and staff. Today, we deal with things that we didn't have to deal with as much when you were in high school, like school shootings, violence, teen suicides, and cyberbullying. To counter this, I would like to present a project I've been working on, the Mindful Project. The Mindful Project is a space where students and staff can feel comfortable and have the ability to express themselves without judgment. We would have like a feng shui environment, soft lighting, soft furniture, a place where we can learn to cope with any emotion we feel. The Mindful Place aligns with strategic plan B, Pillar B addresses.
What? Need to hire you? Okay.
Pillar B addresses social emotional health of not just students, but staff as well. I hope you support me in my dream.
All right, so yeah, absolutely, man. That's huge because that is a big piece that I have been talking about. I think we have a ton of funders right now. I just met with my staff member who's over our education foundation. She just told me her calendar is packed because there are a lot of philanthropists out there that want to support the school district. And the thing that I have said from day one is that the social and emotional distress that a lot of our students deal with is real. Some of you may be in a situation where things are well. You got the support at home. But for some of you, you have to be an adult a lot earlier in your life than you need to. And you know why I know this? Because I read the comments when we want to make decisions on whether we need to move school start times or if we want to move a school into a tier. I get comments from adults that say, well, my high schooler needs to take care of the siblings, or, because they have to go and work. Like, these things are real. You're having to do things above and beyond just being a student, and it can take a toll on you because from a maturity standpoint and from a brain development standpoint, some of the things our kids have to interface with, it's way too early. And it puts a lot of unnecessary stress. And what I often tell people, the social and emotional distress becomes an impediment to you reaching your full academic potential. And so we want to definitely support that. That is a big piece of what we invested in this year, a lot of social and emotional support in our budget. But I'm ready to go to funders now that people are excited about where the district is and they want to help and say, we need a lot more help in social and emotional support. And Dr. Cadova's back there, who leads our Student Support Services Division. We have a meeting coming up. We have a meeting coming up next week where we have a group of folks that have a lot of money and they want us to tell them how can we support the school district. And this is going to be one of the things we talk about. If you have a proposal, I'd love to have it for that meeting. You can email it to me.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Hey, so you all didn't plant any questions with any of them? I know we wanted to be authentic. Go ahead, because I know you have some questions. Don't be afraid.
Well, to start off, I would like to ask I would like to just say that for undercommitted students, it's very hard to study here, and also it's really hard to go to high school with not having social security number or things like that. So I've experienced, and I've known other students that have also had problems with that. I've experienced myself having scholarships and having that taken away from me because I don't have the paperwork necessary and stuff. But it's really upsetting for me to be a 4 GPA student or student athlete and not being able to get those opportunities and lack of people that help us to continue as our studies. I'm sorry.
So, listen, I totally agree with you. If you were to Google me and just Google Mark Bedell on immigration, there's an article that I wrote that, or an article that was written. I don't know if it was an article on my frustration with how all of this immigration stuff is playing out. And I think back then it was during the ICE raids. And one of the things that I said in this article was, you know, Kansas City Public Schools embrace diversity. We accept anybody. I don't care where you come from. I don't care about your zip code. I don't care about your race, your gender, your sexual orientation. It doesn't matter to me. Our job as an institution is to service everybody and to give them a fair and equitable chance at being able to live a great life. I was one of the superintendents that publicly opposed President Trump's position on ICE and immigration and all of that stuff. And it's something that I still oppose. So while from a federal level, our hands are kind of tied, I think that there is active fighting to try to make sure that we level the playing field and that we embrace everybody for who they are, regardless of immigration status and all of those things. And we will continue to fight on that. But I do want you to know, we even passed a resolution with the board around our position on making sure that we support our immigrants and also our Muslim students. We implemented an anti-bullying resolution for Muslims because of a lot of the things that's been going on. And so we're in a level of discourse around the country right now that I don't think is healthy for the type of multiculturalistic system we want to have and the diversity we want to have. But people like you and I and these leaders in here and students, we can make noise, right? We just got to get out here and say enough is enough. And we write letters and we let our elected officials know that this is unacceptable. And the more that they hear that, the more that we can begin to put pressure on some of these decisions that are happening in D.C. Yeah, that was a nice catch. I saw you play ball the other day to win the championship.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bedell. My name is Zachary Shelby. Thank you for coming to spend your afternoon with us. Before I get in, I'd like to tell you that both of my parents, they was both blessed to graduate from college, and I would like to do the same. But one of my biggest problems is here at Lincoln, and I don't know about any other schools, but here at Lincoln, we're not really fortunate with like a lot of career paths and a lot of career options that, you know, that some people may want. Like for instance, I love to cook, but we don't have a culinary class or a home economics class. But me personally, I want to be a doctor when I get older. And the closest thing I have right now as, you know, an anatomy class is Ms. Go for a science class. And I mean, that can only take you so far with as many topics as we have to cover. And I just wanted to know that how in the future you'll be able to provide us with more classes, more branches and opportunities for the future.
That's a great question, and one that I do have an answer for. Now, the question is, you're in what, 8th grade now?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you may be able to benefit off of this. People who are juniors and seniors might be rough on you. Sorry, I only can do so much, right? It's going to get better slowly, but in a very methodical way. So right now, the goal is to take, because it's hard to do it in our comprehensive schools from a financial standpoint. It requires a lot of capital work. If you want to put those kind of pathways in here, something has to give, right? Something else will have to give. And so we do have manual tech, right? Manual tech right now, in my opinion, is not being utilized to its fullest. I have a vision, and manual tech is where we have culinary arts, and we have our nursing program, and we have construction. We have about 11 pathways there right now. You're able to enroll and go into that program by the time you're a junior. I think because you go to Lincoln, part of what happens here is you're on a track to go into IB. I mean, that's what the program is and what students sign up for. So I'm not certain that a lot of Lincoln students, have the availability in their schedule to benefit off of going over to manual tech on a half-time day schedule. So that's something that we have to look at as a system. But the ultimate goal is to have manual tech open from 7:20 until 9:20 at night or 9 o'clock at night. We're in the process of having a conversation with MCC, which is the community college, and they have a tremendous amount of resources and they want to partner with us. We want to take it from 11 pathways to probably over 40, where students will be able to take dual credit. If you want to go during the day, we can work that out. Here's the deal. If you can't go during the day because you're restricted to a curriculum here that you have to adhere to, the building's going to be open at night. So you may be able to go and take some of those pathway classes in the evening. Now, what does that mean? You're an athlete. So you got to figure out how you're going to prioritize, because that would probably conflict with you being able to play sports if that's the path you want to go on. But we are looking at taking manual tech, and we have a meeting about it tomorrow, and really turning that into this Metro Tech Center that offers career technology pathways, education pathways for all of our students. And my vision is, I feel like every single one of you should graduate with a completer in something, right? I graduated from my high school. I did electrical construction. To this day, I can put a ceiling fan up. Now, it might look raggedy, but I can do it. I still know how to run wires. I know how to do those things. I learned all of that in high school. And then when I graduated, I had the option. I could go and work for Kodak, because I did co-op there, or I can go to college. And I want every student to have those same type of opportunities that you've already graduated with a skill set. So if college isn't a reality because it costs too much, you can go right into the workforce. And this is what we're getting ready to do. And we think that over the next 2 years, we're going to have something special here for the students that are in this system, but not just for the students, for the adults that need to get their credits and those types of things. So that is coming, sir, but it will be at, the majority of those pathways will be at manual. I think your principal will have an opportunity. This is a long answer, but your principal will have an opportunity to decide on what she wants to bring in based on demand, right? Because it's got to be on student requests. And so with you all now going to a full-size high school where you could potentially grow this building out to having 1,100 or 1,200 students, it opens you up now to have more of those elective type opportunities that you just don't have right now because we're constrained until that middle school building opens up. But that's the response, that's the answer to it. So brighter days ahead for certain, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I didn't really have time to compose any questions. My name is Denise, by the way. I just wanted to comment on the introduction of City Year to the schools. I don't know how often that's been around, but I've gotten to see how much they can help all the other students, and even when they think they don't need it, and just the availability of that and the tutoring and after school and all that. I haven't been participating in that, but the few times that I did need even just a little push or a little guidance, I mean, they're always there to help, so I really do appreciate that.
I love hearing that. I think part of the thing that I've always shared with people, if we're going to invest money in you, and City Year is not cheap, we're going to invest money in you, I need to know what is the return, right? And remember what I said earlier, somebody talked about social and emotional distress, but I tell people, what's the return socially, emotionally, and academically? And you need to demonstrate to me that you're actually making a difference with the services you're providing. Because I know in the past we've had situations where people would enter into a contract with the school district, they make a good salary, but there was no value add to students. And so we will hold people accountable to doing those things. We think that there's opportunities where because they're kind of young too, those AmeriCorps members, there's a relevancy piece where they can connect to you. You know, I listen to Gucci Mane and all of that, but you know, y'all probably think I'm too old to relate to that, but I like rap too. But they are a lot younger and they can relate to you probably a lot easier than some of us that are, you know, that's been around for a little while can. And so that's the piece that we also want, is to put relevant people around you that can help you navigate through the path that you're on. So I'm very happy to hear that. Okay.
My name is Mylan, and I'm a senior here at Lincoln. And I think I can speak for most of everyone in Lincoln when we say that we might have good grades, but when it comes to like SAT or ACT, it is hard to get a good score when there's schools like Kaufman that has like 24s to 30s because they practice all day, every day. So it's like, I feel like that we need more programs to help us benefit ACT because it is hard to find outside scholarships that we have a good chance of getting that pays a lot of money. So it's very hard because we might take the test like 3 or 4 times to get the same score, but we are studying.
All right, so I agree with you, and I had a young lady from Central High School who charged me up yesterday, and we have a meeting with them next week, Dr. Shepard, with some of the students from Central. But I was at the swimming championships. I don't know if anybody in here swims, but I was there yesterday watching them. I was about to pass out in there. It was hot. But she talked to me about the same thing about ACT prep and having opportunities to do that, and we're going to talk to them about it. I do agree. I do want to clear up one thing. Our district, this school outperforms Kaufman on ACT. So let me be very clear in the aggregate. They might have some students that score 24 and 20, 30. We got a lot more here. Our scores are higher than Kaufman. So whoever told you that, that's not the truth as far as Lincoln is concerned. But I do agree with you. And it's part of the reason why when I came in 2 years ago, we said we want every single student in this school district to take the pre-ACT. Because the only students who were taking it were Lincoln students. And I said, well, why aren't all the other schools taking it? Because part of the ACT piece is being able to have stamina, understanding the rigor of those question stems, what they're asking for, but having the stamina to get through each section in a timely manner. And so the district is now in its second year where every single 9th, 10th, and 11th grader takes the pre-ACT. Our job now that we know what the results are looking like is how do we now make sure that we put interventions in place to support you all so that you can score above 25, because we believe that's where it starts to trigger those scholarships. And our assistant superintendents are in here listening. This is something that's important to me. And so it's something that we will even look at as we build out our budget to figure out how we can open it up to where we can do Saturday ACT workshops. And the key is, you know, just what I told students, y'all know how I spoke with you all at the assemblies, and I said, you know, students would come up to me afterwards and they would say, I want this, I want that. That's great, but y'all got to show up. I mean, I'm not going to be paying somebody and then only 2 people show up and we don't necessarily get the kind of return on the investment. So if we decide that we want to fund this and offer it on a Saturday, people got to be committed to get up on a Saturday and come in from 9 to 11 and grind it out. And that's the commitment I have to have from you all. And I tell you, if you all can say to me, Dr. Bedell, I got 20 people that are committed to doing this, and I know that, then we'll work on making it happen. We'll find some money. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, my name is Renee Collins, and I'm a senior here at Lincoln. And I just had a few questions regarding, like, for one, I would just wanted to ask, because like I wanted to be a science major, like in biochemistry, and sometimes I feel like I don't have the resources, or I don't feel like I'm learning enough in order to get there. I feel like I'm getting a lot of work, but I feel like I'm not really being educated. And so I just wanted to know, like, how can we better improve that?
Well, I think that's on us. I mean, we have our leaders back here. We came in, and to your point, the data speaks for itself. Our district simply, we have not done well in science. We just haven't for a long time. Part of the reason is it wasn't necessarily a focus at the elementary levels until they actually was at the testing phase, right? So I think third, fifth, they do third, fifth, and then 8th grade, and then whatever your EOC is, biology, I believe. So it wasn't a focus. So the foundation is very fragile for a lot of you now that are in high school because of that. What we decided to do was we started Project Lead the Way Launch, and we started that for our kids in K through 2. They are being exposed now to a level of rigor that's going to put them on a stronger trajectory. We've also rewrote the curriculum, because part of the issue with the curriculum was it was focused on routines and procedures and not necessarily being aligned to state standards, right? And at the end of the day, it's just like if you want to be a doctor, you have to take your boards. You have to go through a residency. You have to take your boards. Well, you're getting prepared because what that test is telling you, these are things you have to be able to know in order to perform surgery on somebody. It's the same thing with the state standards. If you don't have a curriculum that's aligned to state standards, people can be working hard, and there's a lot of teachers here, they bust their behinds. But if the curriculum wasn't aligned, you're not going to get the kind of results that we expect you ought to have. Well, we changed all of that. We've rewritten the curriculum. We've realigned our professional development. Now the next piece is, as we continue to go into classrooms and work with teachers, working with teachers around the rigor and making sure that task predicts performance and making sure that those tasks are aligned with the outcomes that we want to see happen as articulated in that curriculum. So this is an area that we're working on. I can tell you for certain that has been an Achilles heel in this school district, in addition to being able to find certified science teachers. That's another killer. So the other piece that we're going to have to do is we're getting ready to enter into a contract agreement with Springfield Public Schools. They have a program called Launch. They have certified teachers from Springfield Public Schools that now, if we have vacancies in our high school classes, we got the devices, we can do it online, and you're able to do virtual dry labs, virtual wet labs. You can do all of that through this program. And I know, Dr. Shepard, the MOU is in the process. I'm pushing them to get this done. So for all of our schools that don't have science teachers, we will be able to utilize this program. But I think the good news with the school district getting the kind of scores that we've received, we right now believe that we're going to have a lot of teachers that are going to want to come and work in this school district from other school districts. There's a lot of interest right now in our school system because people feel that it's trending in the right direction instead of people leaving the school district. So I agree with you. I think somebody over here, yes.
Hi, Dr. Bedell, thank you for coming. I've experienced with fellow classmates and people around me saying, they would be like, oh, I don't want to come to school, there's no reason, I don't feel like coming, I don't like school. But so if I was able to do something, I would think of ways that would make students want to come to school. So they have a reason to want to come, so they would actually try harder than they are now, and maybe it would improve it. So I'm asking if you have any projects that you're thinking or working on at the moment to help that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we're trying to work on. I think part of it is teaching everybody that there are going to be things in life that we don't like to do, but we have to do. And I think that there's this mentality that's very prevalent here for me, that it's okay for people to opt out when conditions aren't right. Right? So the weather's not the greatest, it's too cold outside, I don't want to come to school, I don't want to go to work. But here's the problem with it, and this is the piece that we are working on. Really working on our parents to help with advocacy, teaching them how to advocate for themselves, but then being able to advocate for their students. We have a lot of people that have had kids, and they've been a part of this school system, and in many cases, this school system didn't do right by them. Right, honestly, I mean, the history is there. Read the book Complex Justice. It'll tell you everything you need to know about what happened. And some of these people now are people who really don't have a lot of love for school or the school system. And so there's not necessarily going to be this encouragement. So we have to get out and work with them. That's why we have our team here today from our Parent Empowerment Institute. I'm murdering that. What's our team? Family engagement.
Yeah, the team is Family Community Engagement. The institute is the Family Empowerment Institute.
So we're doing all of those things now to try to build that up. But it starts when you all are kindergartners, right? Like, we can't control kindergartners, first, second, and third graders not coming to school. That's an adult issue. But what happens over time is then this becomes a habit. Part of the reason why our attendance, our 90-90 attendance rates are poor, and they've been poor every year I've been here, because we don't get people in school. And then ultimately these people graduate or they drop out and they get jobs. And I'm gonna hit you with one. So then some of these people, let's use this as one example. Some of these people become bus drivers. And when the weather's not right, I'm just not gonna come to work. So then y'all sitting out at bus stops freezing because the conditions aren't right. And I don't think that's fair. And so we gotta crack it early on by working with our parents and making sure that when conditions aren't right, we gotta work. I mean, when you get paid a check, you gotta come to work. My people know. You cheat if you want. I'm gonna smoke you out. I'm just telling you that. And I would expect the board to do that to me. If I'm here cheating and not putting in 100%, they should fire me. And so it's the same thing. When people get paid to do a job, they got to do it, but the habits start well before they become adults. This happens when they are little kids, and that's where we have to work with our families to say, just because you might have a tummy ache or it's cold outside or it's raining, you got to come to school every day, because you're developing a healthy habit that even when I don't like it, I got to grind it out. And then the last piece to that is create a culture. It's about culture and climate. You create a culture and climate within your school that make kids not ever want to leave that environment, then that helps to minimize the the attendance rates. It makes it better. And so those are things that we can do and control as adults. Good question.
My name is Ranisha, and I'm from Northeast High School. As a victim of bullying and aggressive student behavior, I want for you to know that it is important to me to feel safe and secure. While at school, I feel like we do not have enough security, social workers, counselors, and administrators to help the students to feel safe and happy at school. I want students to learn how to work their problems out respectfully so they are prepared for the real world.
Okay. Well, I think too, the bullying piece is a major problem. I think you experienced that. Every school district I've worked in, we've had incidents of bullying. We had even when I was in school. And it's not going to go anywhere. And I think what we have to do as adults is create, once again, an environment where bullying is not something that's accepted, because you have some schools, I tell people bullying can be very subtle. It can be somebody clowning you because your junk man is upside down. Y'all know the story, right? The Jordan man, upside down shoes. And you getting clowned, but that's a form of bullying. And it hurts. And so teaching people that when you do that, when you're picking on people because they don't have certain things or because of how they look or whatever it may be, it's a form of bullying. And definitely putting your hands on people is something that we just simply won't tolerate. But I think we have to, as principals, make sure that we are creating that culture where we can embrace everybody for who they are. And some schools do that extremely well. And then there are some schools where we have to continue to work on it. And some of it is looking at the personnel that you have. Maybe you started maybe you lead an anti-bullying campaign at your school. And maybe it's an anti-bullying week. And we just really talk about how we can resolve and solve problems differently. And we did invest in the Center for Conflict Resolution this year. We have a contract with them where they're doing a lot of restorative justice types things where we can talk through some of our situations versus trying to handle it with our hands, because that's the quickest way to do it. We just feel like we need to knuckle up, and that's not the best way to resolve your issues. I think there's a lot more diplomatic ways that we can go about doing it. But we have made some investments in that, and I would probably encourage you to look at doing something like that. I would encourage us on our side that maybe we start looking at an anti-bullying 2-day campaign that could eventually grow into an anti-bullying campaign for the whole district over a full week. So that's something that we can also look at doing.
Okay, my name is Nevaeh. I go to Lincoln, and my question is about kind of like getting the word out, I guess. And so a lot of things we don't really know about until our senior year or our junior year, and we're kind of like thrown into like college prep, or how do you know what like a scholarship class? You know, a lot of things we have those classes, but that's like our first time hearing something. And that's a huge concern for me because a lot of things I had to learn this year, and I'm going to college like in a few months, you know.
Okay.
And also in the district, so even like manual tech, I didn't even realize how that really worked. I thought that was like a school that an alternative school.
No, it's not an alternative school. It's the school where we have all of our trades and career pathways. And so, but I think part of it is because you go to Lincoln, this is a signature school. And so when you sign up, you in essence are signing up to go through that IB program. I mean, and that's part of the commitment. I mean, there's a lot of programs at the district that we have in the school district. I mean, we have an early college, we have a middle college for people who have dropped out. We started that this year, 17 to 24-year-olds. We have manual tech that we're really getting ready to take to a whole nother level. And then we have a ton of other signature schools within the school district. And so we think that it's probably intentional around not really knowing a lot about manual tech just based on the fact that this is a signature school. I'm looking at the principal on that. But as far as like scholarship things and opportunities, no, we should be well on top of that in terms of working with you all. One of the things I share with my team is I would love, and I have to figure out how we can fund it. I don't know if we can do it right away, but I'm accustomed to having like a college access coordinator. And that college access coordinator starts working with students in the 9th grade. And then they make sure that as students are matriculating through, these are the things that need to get done. You know, here's your map, 9th grade, you need to stop here, these are the things you need to do. 10th grade, you need to do this. 11th grade, stop, take the ACT. You need to get this application in. So those kind of things are, what I'm really wanting our team and trying to see if we can get some funding from some philanthropists to fund some of those positions for 3 years at our high schools.
Because I know, like for KC Scholars, if you get KC Scholars, you get like a hybrid college advisor, and even though they're not in our schools, we still get to they text us and all that, but we only get it for our senior year, and I think that would be cool to have for all 4 years or something like that. But my question was, my name is Maya. I go to Lincoln, and so we spend a lot of time here. We spend a lot of time at school, and one of my biggest concerns is just at school being a place that I actually want to be. Of course, I have to come here to learn, that's fine. But I'm talking about as far as facilities and stuff like that, not having paper towels, not having toilet paper, not having soap, mice, things like that. What can we do to make me, make school an actual, a place that yeah.
Okay, so the one thing I don't want to hear, and it aggravates me, is saying you don't have soap, you don't have tissue. That's unacceptable for me, because that's just making sure that principal makes noise, and if she can't get anything done, assistant soups are back there. Assistant soups then should be working directly with our operations division to make sure that those things happen. So they all in here and they're hearing me right now. So trust me, that's something that we will address. That's unacceptable for me. The mice, okay, we can put traps in. These are big facilities. I hate to say it. We had them in schools in Maryland. We had them in Baltimore. It's cold outside. I don't want mice. I don't want rats in a schoolhouse. Heck, we get them in our own homes from time to time when it's cold outside. So at the end of the day, our job is to make sure that we're cleaning up and we're maintaining the building in a very sanitary manner, that we are putting the traps, those sticky traps or whatever it needs to be, that we're putting them out and we're checking them. and trying to minimize that, because you don't want to be in a rat or mouse infested building. That's unacceptable, and those are things that we can bring back to our team that we're hearing and making sure that what are we doing about it. But as far as like the soap and the tissue and all of that, yeah, that's unacceptable to me.
I would like to also add on to both of those statements. With the being a school, like the food I feel like it should be improved just a little bit more, because sometimes they run out of food, and that's definitely a problem. They run out of food, or they put the food on the tray sloppy, or it's just not good. So I feel like that's a problem, because some people don't eat at home, and then the food is not that good. Which I'm saying, like, they'll still eat it, but it's like, I feel like it should be improved. And then also with the like the college advisors, I think that would be helpful, because with KC Scholars, they check in on us like all the time, even if we're applying to schools that's not within the network. They make sure, like, they ask how much money we have to each school, and they make sure that we're still doing our FAFSA and all that. And we have like teachers like Miss Wynn here, that in our council, they send out scholarships all day long. So I feel like that should be spread across the whole school,
absolutely,
the whole school district. So that's what I would suggest.
We're hearing you loud and clear. So I purposely invited my person over all of our foods, because I knew that question was coming. So I'm actually going to allow for you to kind of share with them some of the things we're doing, and I think it's important that they hear, because I agree. I like food and I like tacos and all of that too, but we need to make sure that you all hear what's going on, because this one comes up at every town hall meeting. So I was like, hey, Gordon, you need to be here, man, because I'm tired of answering this question. Go ahead.
Thank you. So thank you for the comment and the feedback. We can certainly do a lot of things differently. Let me come around here. Number one is the food taste. So that's something that our team is constantly working with. Our number one barrier is going to be legislation. So it's going to be state law. So the state tells us how much sodium, carbs, how much nutritional value we can put in the food, which can impede the flavor of the food that we cook. But in terms of having enough food, having people that care about what we're serving, that's a low-hanging fruit that we can easily resolve. A couple of things that we are working on, though, for next year. So last week I had an opportunity to go to the state. I met with some of those state legislators. We talked about some of the barriers with food waste. Obviously, if you don't like the way it tastes, you're not going to eat it, and then we're wasting it. So we started a committee here in the state of Missouri that I am on, representing the voices of the students of KCPS with school food reform. So next year, we're going to try a different model. We recently sourced all of our commodities, but next year, we're going to start cooking more homemade style food within the nutritional limits of the state, but it won't be the processed oven food. Now, for the seniors that are leaving, I'm sorry. But that is a huge improvement, and because of these town halls, because of the feedback that I get from principals, teachers, students, parents, that's been paramount in getting this past move.
Absolutely, and I definitely appreciate that. One of the things we also started, Mr. Gordon here did a wonderful job of writing a grant and getting it approved. So now we offer breakfast in the classroom at elementary schools. So we went from, in some schools where we only had 48 to 50% participation now to well over 90%, right? Somewhere in that range? 99%. 99% of students now are eating breakfast, and they have it in their classrooms, and it's going extremely well. So the only thing I can tell you all, it's going to get better each year. You're going to see gradual improvement. It is a big system, but it is going to get better each year. And each year that a crop of seniors graduate, you just want
until the target bell sounds.
Unfortunately for the seniors, I will tell you, you have permission to feel some kind of way, because you should, but it's going to get better each year. So thanks for that question.
Okay, so to kind of piggyback off of what Maya said, this is from Ms. Foster too. I just wanted to say that, like, us as seniors, like right now, or everybody in high school at this point, we're like not motivated to do anything anymore. I feel like we don't have enough. I don't know. I feel
Senioritis.
No.
That's what it is. You can't say. Go ahead.
I'm talking about all of high school and how I feel like we need more support, like more encouragement, like like, I don't know, something to implement. Yeah, not just like assignments or like adjust to like us per se. I don't know. I feel
it's like we don't want a cookie, but we want like something that's like something that's gonna make you. Cause like okay, everyone knows at this point like you're just kind of just done like, and you can, but you can't be.
Right.
And so like you said, something like as far as like motivation. I don't know what I want, but it's like some type of something that makes you. Yes, like this last.
Well, something that will hook you and keep you going. And so for me as a senior, it was being able to go and work at Kodak every day. So from 12:30 to 3:30, I made my $4.25 an hour. I was balling on them. And
He said I was balling.
Man, I get the little paychecks. They were big back then. But that was something that hooked me, right? Being able to do Kodak, only having to be in school for a couple of classes, like taking my required English and science and math.
Right, because and then here at Lincoln, a lot of us have our credits, but we can't leave for something like that. And I know some of our students like me, I'm talking like everybody else because I can't leave because I'm like full IB, but then there's students who aren't, and they're just in classes that like are the worst.
Okay, yeah, school leadership, like, we have to figure that one out. I don't know, because part of it is too, here's what I will tell you, you know, the way that we're able to do the kind of things we're doing is by you all having to be in school, right? The whole average daily attendance, we get our funding and we get our state accountability. The reason why we're able to get 82.9 is because we need y'all to come to school every day. And we then need you to be here because that's how the district gets its funding so that we can put a new library in and do these kind of things that we need to do. But I said this to my team a long time ago, not only here, but in previous school districts. Sometimes I feel like the truth is students can get through school in the 3 years and move on with their lives. And sometimes that senior year, I don't know how much of a value add it is because in many cases you only have a couple of required classes that you need to take unless you're taking a full load of AP or IB type classes or you're doing dual credit with a university. And that was something that I always tried to push, was then making sure that kids had internship opportunities, right? Get out and start working and come to school a half a day and then go to work. And as long as we have an accountability that you're actually at work, you know, we get credit for that if it's somebody that's official and approved through the school district. So yeah, I hear you all, and it's harder. That's a harder one to tackle. It's hard to tackle everywhere that I've worked. It's hard.
like she just mentioned, like, you know how like Crystal Ray, they have like the system to where like they go to work and accommodate, like that kind of relevates to what they want to do when they get older. And like I feel like that would be like kind of a good thing
because they only have partner companies that they work with, and for them it pays off the rest of their tuition. But for us, it could be like a way to just
get the experience, to get the practical experience. Okay, all right, that sounds great. That's something we hear you loud on, and we can definitely continue to have our conversations with future partners out there. All right, where's the ball? Right here. How are you?
Pretty good. To go off what they had just said, I'm doing a video. I don't really have an exact title for it, but I would like to call it Dear Teacher. And so the video is going around asking students what they want teachers to know and what other staff members to know. And what's recurring is them saying that the workload is too much for them. One, because they have like jobs that's to support the family at home. So when they go home, they can't exactly do the work that is assigned to them. So they just get packed up on work. And also, me and Taylor, we recently joined the Marines, so we have to take some days to go to like mandatory PTs or mandatory meetings and stuff like that. So those are also days that are taken out of the week to do homework that we can't like do. And it's like, so like the work as like for juniors and seniors, it's just more of like tedious work. And like what Vinay said in science classes, how she doesn't feel like she's learning because like it's just like a whole bunch of work that doesn't seem like it's supported me.
So making sure that what we're doing, there's purpose behind it, and that it's meaningful and it's not busy work is basically what you're saying. That's what you all are basically saying. You feel like it's busy. I think we have to make sure that we're utilizing homework and there's a purpose for it, right? Honestly, we don't want to just give homework because it's something just to be busy on. It needs to connect to what you've learned and be an extension of what you've learned so that you can build upon it with practice. Because here's the deal. Once it's time for you to go and you fully enlisted into the Marines, right?
Yes, sir.
There's going to be a lot of studying that you will have to do outside of the conditioning aspect of it, that you're going to have to get back into your bunker, your room, and you're going to have to study. And it's the same thing with us. Part of what homework does, if it's done correctly, is it teaches you a habit that when you go to work, sometimes work doesn't end at 5 o'clock. You have to go home, and there's reading, and there's things that you need to work on, there's emails you need to address. So it teaches you this habit of being able to understand the extension of what you have to do as an adult, bringing it home so you can get the job complete. So we don't want it to be tedious, and that's something that we just have to continue to look into it. But I can't say we're going to get rid of homework. I think you have to also know the students you serve, because the truth is some of the students do have to work. Some of the students have to make sure that ends are meeting at home to keep the lights on, and so homework in some cases is the last thing they're thinking about. But I think that's the part of the relationship, and being able to know your teacher to that extent that you're able to have those type of conversations, and then the teachers then can work with you and say, okay, here's how we can help. I always tell people, you have a advocacy period. So in my opinion, I don't know how the advocacy period is being utilized, but that should be an area where you're able to get a lot of your homework done so you don't have to take it home.
Yes, sir.
For some schools don't have advocacy, but some do.
Okay, hi, my name is Jalen. I go to Lincoln. So I'm very extroverted, but I also have a lot of friends who are not the same way, and they talk to me about a lot of things. For example, a lot of my friends don't know our counselors or our principal or administrator very well. And you being an administrator at one point and a teacher at one point, I just wanted to know, what do you think? Like, some ways you think that our administrators could get more involved and like support our students more, things like that.
Okay, that's a great question, Jalen.
So we just not going.
Yeah. So here's what I would say, though. To your point, I think it's doing these types of things. So just being visible, letting you all have a voice, doing it in a very unscripted way, right? Because some of these questions aren't easy for me to answer. I'm sitting here and I'm kind of like, okay, I'm shook on this one. I need to figure out how I'm going to respond. But some of these questions are hard, but allowing for you to have a voice and then to gradually let you see that we are listening, that we are doing things. I think the other aspect, and I do see your principal, extracurriculars, going and being at those extracurricular events, going and talking to you all. So getting to know you outside of the schoolhouse. During my time as an assistant principal and as a principal, I did those things, right? I did crazy things. They were fun. They weren't crazy. I played dominoes with my students during breakfast duty. So I would be the one that would be in the cafeteria, and we'd be at a table, and I used to carry my bullhorn. I used to think I was Joe Clark from Lean on Me. That was me. But I would sit in the cafeteria, and if I see somebody throw food at my high school, they may have not known that I was in there. Get on my bullhorn, I saw that, get up and get that up, right? Not being punitive and trying to suspend a kid because they threw food, right? Because that's the other thing that kills us. We try to nail kids for punitive things that kids are going to do. And so making sure that I built that relationship with them. You know, I was an athlete. I played basketball with my students. We do open gym. I do that now. We do open gym on Saturdays. We don't torch a couple of students in this school system. Yes, we have. So, but I think then also letting students know that I will work to be your friend and be here to support you, but at the end of the day, my primary goal is to make sure that you are learning, teaching and learning is happening, and that I'm going to hold you accountable to doing those things, and I'm going to have high expectations for you. You may not like me for that, but 10 years from now, I want somebody to come back to me and say, Dr. Bedell, you were the best principal we ever had. Dr. Bedell, you were the best superintendent we ever had. We're grown now. We remember the things that you said you were going to do, and now I see where the school system is, And I want to put my kids in this school system because of the things that we started to build on together, and because you're listening, that's the legacy. So having high expectations is critical, but it's just getting in your lives and being involved. That's how you do it.
I think we have time for one more.
One more? Okay. I don't know who had it back. Somebody back there I saw. Throw the ball. Oh, who has it? Oh, okay. Well, we'll do two more then.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, he's loud. He's loud. Go ahead, man.
My name is Emmanuel. Dr. Bedell. Hello. I like the purple. I noticed it. It's good on you, man. I like the purple socks as well.
Oh, thank you, man. I try to coordinate a little bit so y'all won't clown me, because I know how this goes. I came in here with something else. And they ended well.
Okay, so I got like a lot of questions, but I'm gonna keep it short. Can school start any later, like at 11? I'm just joking. I'm just joking with you. I don't know if this can relate to any other students in here, but this is more of a personal thing. All my cousins are dropouts, and they've dropped out because of my aunt and my uncle. Like, let's say they've always moved around, never considered to have a stable home. So I was wondering, what can they do to come back into the school? Because, like, let's say they're earning under minimum wage. They're making like $7.25, and let's say all four of my cousins have like more than 2 kids. So, like, my youngest cousin is 16, and she has a daughter that's about to be a year old. So I try to show her all the support that I can, and then I try to help her out in any way that I can. So she's a single mom as well, and I wanted to know what can I do, and if you guys will support me on this as well, to motivate her into coming back into school, or what can she do? Like, what are her options is my question.
All right, so we have some options. Man. So this one is tough because I come from a family full of dropouts. It's 8 of us. And I told you all this in an assembly. I'm the only one to make it past the 9th grade. So I know the debilitating impact that not finishing high school can have on your life. My kids see it when we go home to Rochester, New York, the conditions my family members live in, because it's only so far that they can go. And so I was very intentional this past March in working out a partnership with the Full Employment Council and MCC Penn Valley campus. And we started a middle college. And this middle college is for people who have dropped out of school from the ages of 17 to 24. The middle college is designed to get you back into school. They will nurture you, they will support you, they will even work on trying to support you with daycare. We give bus passes, which everybody in here is eligible to get. Okay, all right. So I went there yesterday to visit. We had a couple of students that had dropped out. They got their diplomas back in December. 2 of those students were there yesterday, starting their first day of official college courses. They were enrolled and they finished the program and enrolled immediately into Penn Valley. So that's a program that we have right now, and it's a waiting list. So what I'm trying to do now is to go and get some additional support from some funders. It costs probably close to about $80,000 to $100,000 to run it. But when does she turn 17?
Actually, she's right around the corner.
So
sometime in June.
The second she turns 17, we can put her in there. I don't have a business card on me, but maybe somebody in here does. If we can give him a card and have him we need her name, her, what school she dropped out of, because here's the deal for me. I don't care if you dropped out of a charter. If you live in our boundaries, this program is for you. We're trying to change lives, and we're not trying to say it's only for KCPS students. So if you know other students that are between the age of 17 to 24, between 17 and 21, you still can get your high school diploma. If you are older than 21, then you can get your GED. And then we scholarship you at the end. Some people will go in and start working on college. Others will want to go and get 2 years of trade experience. We scholarship them to get 2 years of trade experience. So we have put this program in because I know that if we don't do something, there's no way that this city's going to get better, right? And we just can't. And then we got to stop them on the front end from dropping out in the first place by putting the supports and wraparound services in place. But we have something for that one. We can definitely help you on that.
Central, early head start.
Oh yeah, and even at Central, that's the other thing. Thank you for that. We started an early Head Start program at Central. So this is for students that have a baby. We started this program last year, I believe.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So from birth all the way up until about 4, but she would have to enroll into Central in order to take advantage of it. She would have daycare provided during the day for the baby while she works on getting her credits. All right, last question.
Hello, my name is Tressa. I am a senior here at Lincoln. And so throughout high school, we've had access to all these laptops, and that's been such a help in the classrooms. But sometimes when we have internet connection issues where half the class can't open something on Chrome to do their classwork, it's frustrating on both the students and the teachers because they can't get work done, and it also increases the workload on students. And something more recent is that the censorship of certain websites have increased lately, and so it's sometimes hard to do research for projects and such when so many websites are blocked that we can't have access to. So I was wondering if there were any programs or something that is going to help increase the technology here at Lincoln.
Oh, absolutely. We're working on that right now. I think many of you know there's a lot of predators out there on the web. Let's just call it what it is. Everybody around the country is getting hit on this stuff. I actually presented on it at a conference in Baltimore recently with the Council of Great City Schools around making sure that you can protect students and protect the system. So right now we hired new IT people. They are basically revamping everything. I think all of our staff members got an email today talking about how we're going to revamp how they sign in, and then making sure that people don't repeatedly have to put passwords in. Your system slows up, and when we talk about bandwidth is a problem, but it slows up when it gets infected with all kind of viruses and you got bad players out there. We've had a lot of bad players trying to come in and infiltrate our system. So we have a technology plan that we've developed. We are basically going back and redoing everything from scratch. We even built out our email system from scratch when we had all those issues back in September. So just to share with you, we know that there's a problem. I've hired staff. We're revamping IT, and this will be a much more improved experience for you all. As far as the censored sites, that's something we just have to work on and figure out what needs to be censored, what doesn't need to be censored. But we got some smart kids in these schools. They don't manage to crack a lot of our stuff too. And then they get into sites that they don't need to be viewing. And that's part of the reason why we then have to continue to try to be smarter than some of y'all, because there's some slick students here that are able to crack those codes, and then it exposes everybody. And that's how bad characters can then enter into your system, infiltrate it, and then we start having bandwidth issues because we got all these viruses that's been introduced. So we have had to tighten up on those things because the bad characters out there in the dark web, that's where they tend to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bedell. I also wanted to thank Benet and Mylan for being the moderators. Thank you all for coming. We are so glad to host this. It's good for not only Dr. Bedell, but as a school leader, for me to hear the voice of students so that we can continue to improve what we're doing at our already pretty awesome school. So let's have one round of applause for Dr. Bedell.
Thank you. And that concludes the meeting. Bedell out. All right, that was weak. Is that corny? Is that corny, man? That was corny. That's God. Hater. Don't hate. It's corny.